Water, once the source of life, has turned into a nightmare, swallowing Beijing in an endless sea of devastation. Aerial images reveal a city unrecognizable, wide avenues transformed into raging rivers, cars drifting like fallen leaves, and people desperately seeking refuge. Never before has Beijing witnessed such catastrophic scenes, a historic flood engulfing millions in fear and despair. For days, relentless rain has pounded northern China with unprecedented force. Rivers strained beyond their limits, spilling over and overwhelming the city's defenses. Beijing, the proud symbol of power, modernity, and prosperity, has now descended into chaos. Residents scramble to evacuate as entire neighborhoods turn into isolated islands amid the floodwaters. Everywhere, the same haunting images repeat. The elderly stranded on rooftops waiting for rescue. Children clinging to their parents in terror. And exhausted rescue teams battling against impossible odds. The city's infrastructure is collapsing under the weight of disaster. Highways have vanished beneath rivers of death, leaving no route for vehicles. Subway stations are submerged in dark, murky water, trapping thousands before rescue crews could reach them. Beijing Capital International Airport, one of the busiest in the world, was forced to cancel hundreds of flights. Its runways resembling an unintended artificial lake, the capital stands paralyzed, and with it, China's vast economy faces a suffocating chokehold. But the destruction does not end in Beijing. Surrounding regions have also been swallowed whole. Ancient villages on the outskirts lie erased, reduced to fragments of rooftops barely visible above the floodwaters. Tens of thousands of hectares of farmland are gone, destroying harvests and threatening food security for millions. Factories have shut down, sparking fears of global supply chain disruptions. China, with its grand ambitions of becoming a superpower, is suddenly humbled by the unrelenting fury of nature. Experts are calling this flood a nightmare of the century. They warn that climate change has intensified weather extremes, making storms stronger, rains heavier, and disasters deadlier. Even the most advanced urban infrastructure is powerless against the crushing weight of nature's anger. Beijing's gleaming skyscrapers now stand as grim reminders that humanity, no matter how powerful, remains fragile before the Earth's wrath. As the waters rise, China's military and rescue forces have been deployed at full scale. Soldiers wade through waist-deep currents. Inflatable rafts traverse raging torrents. Helicopters circle above, and ropes are used to pull survivors to safety. Volunteers rush in with food, blankets, and medicine, yet all these efforts feel like droplets in an endless ocean. Casualties climb by the hour, with grim reports of deaths and missing persons multiplying beyond what anyone could have imagined. The city is cloaked in tragedy. Children cry in the freezing floodwaters. Mothers cling helplessly to their young on rooftops. And elderly residents stare in shock as their lifelong homes vanish beneath the waves. Once a proud capital, Beijing is now drowned in eerie silence, broken only by the rush of water, desperate cries for help, and the distant thrum of rescue helicopters above gray skies. Authorities are under crushing pressure. The looming question is whether the mighty Three Gorges Dam, China's pride and the world's largest hydroelectric project, can withstand the overwhelming force of the floodwaters cascading toward it. If that dam falters, the disaster would escalate beyond comprehension, submerging hundreds of millions downstream, every second. The world watches anxiously as an entire nation teeters on the edge of catastrophe. International shockwaves ripple outward. Neighboring countries express concern over potential environmental fallout, while the global community sends prayers and pledges of support. Beijing, once a symbol of political and economic power, is now the epicenter of an unrelenting natural disaster. The images remind humanity of a bitter truth: no nation, no matter how mighty, can ignore the power of the earth. This historic flood will be etched into memory not only for its devastation but also for the lesson it imparts. Beijing has drowned, but the scars left behind will outlive the water. They are a solemn reminder that progress cannot be built solely on ambition, but must coexist with respect for the planet. For China, rising from this nightmare will demand resilience, unity, and an urgent reckoning with the forces of nature that can never be tamed.